right. So this is Leanna and Brian's wedding. It was it just about a month ago? It's a little bit over a month ago.
It was the May 4th.
Oh yeah, it was May the 4th be with you wedding. So Brian is big into Star Wars, I believe. There wasn't any like theme or anything, but I think it was just a date that they wanted. How do I find you on YouTube? Just go to youtube.com/EGIL photo. youtube.com/EGIL photo, and you'll be able to actually see a live screenshot of what's happening. You can actually comment on there too. We'll be keeping track of the comments that are on YouTube. So,
and then you can see when we scroll. Oh, that's the wrong button. That's the different mouse over here. So that's our YouTube, basically. But when you scroll, you can see the window scrolling. So that's pretty cool. All right, back to here. I think I messed up the camera. No, there we go. Sorry, everybody, shaking the camera here. All right, there we go.
So it was May 4th of this year. I think they've had their photos for a few weeks now, but we just blogged it today. It started off. I think she got ready in
West Haven. Yeah.
He also got ready in West Haven. I was with the guys. Mark was with the girls, and their ceremony was at Laurelton Hall, which is where Leanna went to high school, and the ceremony was, the reception was at Aria, which is a pretty popular venue here in Connecticut. It's a very nice venue. It's somewhat newer, I think, within the last maybe 5-6 years.
They renovated it. It's been
I think they moved it to a new spot, and it's really nice. It's a very, very popular venue, but it's beautiful. So you'll see. So I guess Mark, and since he was with the girls, you can talk about these photos here.
Sure. So this was at the house that Lena grew up in. Her mom is in the background right here, and her bridesmaids right behind her, just kind of helping her get, situated and dressed and stuff like that. So we always try to encourage people to think about their getting ready location. Whenever it has a significance to them, it really helps kind of tie the image together. So this was their home in West Haven, so it really meant a lot to her, where she grew up at and things like that. Over here, you can't really see it because it's kind of blurry, but this is a picture of, I think it was when he had proposed to her. So that's really cool. I think I got an image in their final gallery that I delivered to them, so that's really nice to have those things there. And then this first picture here, it's just, we always tell the bride to have all the rings with her, just so that we can get a shot of all three of them together. Most obviously, she'll be wearing her engagement ring, and it's nice to get a picture of just the engagement ring, but it's nice to have all three together so you can see them as like a couple pictures together. So, kind of got to use your environment for details, and the best thing that you have. So when I got there, I took a look around the room. I found this green chair. I really like the contrast of the green chair, and then the rings here. So this was shot on a macro. So this was when I was still using Canon. I recently switched over to the Sony system, so I use a Sony A7 III now. But this was shot on a Canon 5D Mark III, 100mm macro lens to get the really close detail around here. And I think just for an edit, I kind of brushed in some clarity and sharpness into the center ring right here.
Just so I can add when you're doing ring photos, don't be afraid to add clarity. I know a lot of the photos that I take, especially with rings, typically when you talk to any photographer, they say, well, let's stay away from the clarity brush or whatever it is. But I actually like it when it comes to details like this, because it really helps them pop a little bit more. So don't go overboard with it, but definitely don't be afraid to use it, especially when you're dealing with such shallow depth of field and you're dealing with details like this.
You can pretty much get kind of crazy with the clarity and sharpness if there's once people's faces start coming into the picture, or if they're in the picture, then it kind of starts to look too heavy-handed and fake. So, but details, I don't mind cranking up the sharpness and clarity for detailed shots like this. And also, I don't think I had to do it for this picture, but sometimes you will see some color that's not actually in the ring, like it's kind of green here. It's not that bad. But if you do see that, you can take a saturation brush and just brush in and get the color out of the rings and the reflection and stuff like that to make it more clear if you need to do that. So right here is it's a really big window. So we're huge fans of window light. So there's no flash here. It's all just the big window coming through. I think it's like 3 different panels here. And then this leads to the street. Didn't really set up this image here. This is kind of just her bridesmaids getting her. I think I told her looked over to her right shoulder so I could see her face a little bit better. And the light is hitting her directly on the left side of her face. It kind of illuminates her beautifully there. Here again, this was with an 85 millimeter window to the right here, and some nice really fall off on the shadows right here. This image right here, this was like a part 2 of an image that they wanted to recreate. I think about 30 years prior to Lana's wedding, her mom got married, and the flower girl was on a chair looking at the bride. And basically, when I got there, her mom, who remembered me from back in middle school when I went to his house once to play the drums in the basement, and she still remembered me. She brought out the wedding album. I'm gonna flip the camera real quick. She brought out the wedding album, and she's like, "Look at these beautiful photos here. Can you do some of these photos?" And this was one of the pictures that she'd shown me that she wanted to do. So I did pretty much an exact replica of the picture that she wanted to do. And then I did something. This is the picture that you just saw is the version that I wanted to do, because as a creative, you kind of have to get what the client wants, but also get something that you would feel happy with. The original that she showed me, it was a beautiful picture, and obviously it was nice to recreate that. But it wasn't. It was weird because the bride was looking off camera into the distance, and then the flower girl had her hand on her shoulder and was looking at her, but it just didn't feel right to me. So of course I got the exact same picture, but I wanted to do one that way as well, just to kind of have something different. So maybe 30 years from now, you think about the bride or the flower girl here, maybe she's getting married now, and then maybe the photographer for their wedding is going to see this picture, and then maybe they want to recreate this picture or do the other one as well, to kind of have it go down generation to generation. So so perfect. Do a spin on the classic is basically what I wanted to do. So always make sure your client's happy, get the exact picture that they asked for, and then kind of do your own spin to it. So it's really we've got comments here that I'm scroll down. I know we don't. So basically that's that image right there. Again, more window light coming through. Perfect light here. Another example of perfect window light. It's just like falling on her dress and the fall off here. No flash. Just her bouquet right there looking out the window. Now we got into the guys section here. Esteban's going to be talking about this. We're going to switch over to Lightroom and kind of show some before and afters. So take it away.
All right. So I did want to talk about this. Did I just say that? Yeah. This macro here. I mean, this isn't really anything too special or anything. It's just a very, very close-up photo of some buttons that the groom's father gave him. But I really just wanted to talk about the advantage of having a macro lens. I think that this is the lens that I use is actually what you call a 2-to-1 ratio macro. So it actually focuses twice as close as your typical macro your macro lens would focus in. So you're essentially it's allowing you to get closer than a regular macro would. And this was actually shot with our trusty this guy right here. I can't see the video. Or this guy. So with this rapid box, what I typically do is I get it incredibly close to the subject. So I really wanted to overtake any ambient light that's leaking into the image, and I try to get as close as possible, and it just gives it that nice moodier look. Obviously I'm using high-speed sync, which is essentially all that I do, but But yeah, I just wanted to show this just because it's important to get some of the little details, especially something like this that has a lot of details. You want to get as close to it as possible. Unfortunately, you can't really see what settings there because it is a manual lens, but I'm pretty sure I was shooting at about f8. When you're that close to rings or anything like that, then you definitely want to be pretty close, closed down as far as your aperture goes. So f8, f11 is pretty common, is what I'm shooting at when I'm this close to a subject. And you could still actually see just how shallow the depth of field is even at f8. So if you were to shoot at f2.8, which I see a lot of people doing, I mean, you're not going to get any sharpness on it, so you won't be able to show a detail in this. I mean, I could have probably even shot it at like f16 to get everything in focus, but I felt like this really just put a nice focus on the most important part of the button. So what else can we go back to?
So anybody just join us, Steve, Walter, Nick, Robin, you guys can join us on our YouTube page. It's a lot better viewing experience. It's youtube.com/egophoto. Better video quality, better audio, picture to picture. Yeah, so no reason not to. So if you want to head over to YouTube, that'd be cool to hang out with us over there. What do you want to do next picture?
Yeah,
let's go to.
All right, so this one here is one that a lot of people ask about. Again, I really wanted to focus on these buttons because it seemed like it was a pretty important part of the day as far as the groom went. They meant a lot to him, and I really want to do something special with them. I typically do the shot with rings, and I don't know, I just thought that it would work really well with this one. And again, if anyone hasn't been to any or joined any of our live videos, this is done with what you call I think it's like magic string or something, but you can do it with floss or any type of string that's thin enough for you to not really to be able to Photoshop it out. So for example, this is, I don't have the original shot that because we're on a different computer, but this is basically what was put in from Photoshop. So you just Photoshop the thing out, crop it, just make sure it's a nice crop, and then just play around in Photoshop to be able to erase all of this here. So it's a very simple shot to do, and I feel like a lot of people like it, photographers and clients, just because it's a unique way to look at some of the details. A lot of the time when you look at details, you just typically automatically assume that it's just going to be the details on a table with a nice background. So if you can find a unique way of displaying the details, I think it really plays really well with having a unique look to it. So this is just, I mean, he again, it was May 4th. He's into Star Wars, and he asked for a photo of the socks, which I did get. I'm not a fan of getting photos of like socks or ties just on a table. I'll still do them, and they have them, but I want to incorporate those details into him getting ready. So for example, I had him play around with the socks while I got down on the ground. This was shot with a pretty wide angle lens. I think it was a 24 millimeter. And again, not an ideal way to take a portrait of someone, but it's still, I think, just to really display the socks and just to make the shoes look a little bit bigger. The 24 worked really well to be able to show his entire body. So this one is probably one of my favorites of this wedding, just because I do like to have the groom get in front of a mirror, and I really like this mirror because of the shape. But the one thing that I didn't like about it was this background here. So I took this one shot and I said, all right, this is awesome. He's really well lit. So yeah, so I took the shot and I said, you know what, this is a really cool mirror. I'm not a fan of this background, but the way that it's lit is really nice. So I actually had Jose over here, and he was next to me, and it was pointed that way. So I had the softbox pointed that way, so you can obviously see the separation from the shadows and his face, which is, I mean, when you look at any of our work, just shadow and light plays a big part in it. So you always want to kind of split the shadows and where you're pointing the softbox from, so to create that moodier look. So I had Jose over here with the softbox pointed at him, and I was sitting right next to him, just pointed the camera right to the mirror. The one thing that I didn't like was the background. I just thought it was, I don't know, I just thought it was boring. So what I did is I told all the guys to go back there and just make a weird face. And again, like everything else that I typically like to shoot, I always like to have a nice foreground, a subject, and a background. I think this shot worked really well because you can see the foreground here, which is the shoulder. This is the subject here, and then you have your background. I did have a shot of the guys just standing around, not doing much, but I thought it would work well if I just told them to like do the first like silly thing that they thought of. So this is what they came up with, and it just gives the image a much better feel to it, especially because it gives him, he went from basically being having a very serious look to actually having this happy like a smile on his face, which works really well with the shot. So and it was probably one of my favorites.
It makes it easier as a photographer when you have other people that can make your subject laugh, that you don't have to, it takes the stress off of you. So I mean, you can see the people in the background just kind of going crazy and going nuts. So I wasn't there, but I can pretty much imagine the things that they were either doing or saying. And you know, there's a lot of pressure as a photographer for you to make the client look naturally happy. And you know, you could be the most talented person in the world, but you're not going to make the groom or a stranger laugh probably as much as their friends will. You know, so it's always something to keep in mind is when you bring other people into the photograph, they can get better reactions than you might be able to. It's just the truth, you know. I can only imagine what the guys were saying there.
Yeah, they were a rowdy bunch, but they were really fun. So, again, you have your light right to his right, and then so typically if there was no window on the other side, there really wouldn't be. It would be a harsher transition from light and shadow. So I do like that there's a window there, and I think I did soften it up a little bit with a curtain. So you can still see the detail on both sides of the face, but you're still able to show that there's a difference between the shadow and the light. So it gives it a nice contrast, and it does play with the style that we shoot in. This looks really...
Can't fix it.
It's whatever.
Maybe you can flip it back and then try it again. I don't know.
No, that's fine. Sorry. That's a little bit better. Yeah. So again, I want the moodier look. I know that when you're taking like off-camera flash classes, or when you look online, they'll a lot of the time they'll say that you want to have everything nice and lit, but I typically tend to go do the complete opposite. I like to actually create shadows, which again, it plays really well with our shooting style and our editing style.
Do you know where this is coming from? This light here?
Yeah, there was a window there.
Oh, yeah. So definitely that little kicker kind of helps. You know, if that was there, this would just be like kind of dark here.
Yeah, it'd be
it definitely helps adding that little thing right there.
Yeah, I think a good way that I usually approach these portraits is just put them in front of a window and just soften up the light with a curtain, and then just hit the other side with the softbox. So you want the softbox to be the more powerful side, and then you just want that window light to just kind of give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. So
keep going.
Again, these are the most Esteban shots in the world. I do like to. I can't stand the like, I don't want to say boring, but yeah, like when you look at the stereotypical just lined up, just looking at the camera, smiling at the camera, like those just, after doing this for 5 years, I'm pretty bored of them. I think you probably are too. But there's something that we still do. We still get these shots. We still make sure that we give them, because people do like them. But we do like to make sure that we have the safe shots, which is what we just talked about, and we also want to make sure that we put in our creativity, because a lot of the time when couples are hiring us, they're hiring us because of the creativity that we're putting into our work. So we want to make sure that we get those interesting shots, that we get the shots that they've seen in our website. So, and this is one of those poses I really like to play around with, regardless of whether it's the flying V formation, or it's one where I'm putting that foreground, the subject, and the background into the shot. So I think if you look at the top one there, the top one is a flying V formation. They're all hockey players, so they knew exactly what I was talking about. And then that bottom one is, after you do this pose, then what I typically do is I ask these guys to take about 3 or 4 steps forward, and these guys to take a couple steps forward, and it's just a very quick transition, just telling them to move forward, these guys to move forward, and then just focusing on him. So you're not taking this photo and then telling them the rest. Like, this is a quick 30-second where you take this shot and say, all right, you two back here, take a couple steps forward, you guys stay back there, and you stay back there, and then they just step forward, and you get the second shot. So you get 2 really cool shots in a matter of seconds. So just something to keep in mind. Don't think that this is 10 minutes worth of work, because it's not. It's very quick.
One of the best tips I heard on a YouTube video, I can't remember what it was, but if anybody knows, I've seen it, you can remind me. But what they said was, when you're doing pictures of the bridal party, it's almost like a job interview for your future clients, right? So coming as a business perspective, the people most likely to hire you are people that are in the bridal party, because you kind of have the most interaction with them, other than the bride and the groom. So performing at your best for the bridesmaids, for the groomsmen, making them feel important, remembering their names, is such an important part of the wedding day, because these are your potential future clients, right? If you can remember somebody's name was just a groomsman in the bridal party out of 10 people, then when he gets married, he's most likely going to remember you, or he's going to remember the cool shot that you did with everybody walking in front of you, and just making them feel special, even though it's not their day. It's really an important part of, you kind of have to think about, your future clients, I guess, that you don't even have yet when you're shooting kinds of pictures like this. If you're just every other, I'm sure these people have been in a wedding before, so they know what photographers usually do, where it's all right, everybody gets in a line, stand still, take a picture, okay, move on to the next one. But if you're that guy or that girl that basically can make them feel special, make them do something different, that they're going to remember you 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that when they get married, that's a huge selling point for yourself. You don't have to that's free marketing basically for yourself, is on the day of. So I kind of off on a tangent, but any business people, or for your business, think about your future clients and what kind of image do you want to portray to them. So just something to keep in mind when you're doing pictures of the bridal party. Back to the pics. Any questions so far? We're gonna keep going.
This is just her getting out of the bus. I just thought it was cool because of the wind. It's one of those photos where you just kind of catch a moment in between of whatever's happening, and it's just a very genuine look in her face. It's just pretty awesome. This is right before they went in to get married. And then them walking up, which I like to get this shot. I think it's cool, especially from a lower angle. But yeah, just a very simple. It's just candid shots.
Here's a picture. Usually what happens during ceremony is I'm up at the front and I get the people as they walk down the aisle. He's a pretty emotional guy, so I was waiting for the right moment, and pretty much kind of was looking over my shoulder the entire time, and then I nailed it. I saw him going for the tears are coming, so I was able to snap this beautiful picture of him getting emotional as his bride is coming down the aisle, and then here he is all teary-eyed and ready to see her. So those are cool pictures. Here's just them at the altar, trying to do anything. First kiss. For the first kiss, usually Esteban and I will try to figure out, is he going to go tight? Am I going to go wide? And then usually we're not going to get the same picture because that kind of defeats the whole purpose of two people being there. But we're both right up in front of the aisle. We're both, it's not really disturbing because they're not, in my opinion, because people aren't really watching you. They're watching the bride and the groom. And yeah, you might get in the guest's way if they want to get a picture, but they're paying for you to be there. So,
couple, which photos are you talking about for focal length? Are you talking about the
candids? Here's just pictures of them walking out. It's always nice to get pictures of them coming back down the aisle, hand in hand.
Yeah, one thing with them coming down the aisle, I always say that that's the absolute happiest that you're going to see the couple throughout the entire day. So that's, in my opinion, is one of the most important shots of the day. If you look at this shot here, I think this was shot with a 135 millimeter, and I really like to get a nice close-up shot of them walking back down the aisle. And it's just such a happy moment for them that you really want to make sure that you capture it. A lot of the time, they'll be looking at other people, they'll high five other people, and I think it works really well to just get those emotions into it. So I like the top one and that kiss one.
I'm guessing like this one here.
I think you took that one.
Might have been. It's probably the 85.
Yeah, and then the close up was mine, which was the 135 maybe.
So this is 135, you said?
That's 135 if you go up. Yeah, that one's 135. And then the bottom one is
yeah, you can tell like the compression on the 135, how close the background is to them versus the 85 where it's not as close, so definitely important part to think about, compression, the background compression, choosing a lens. Here's a cool shot Esteban got. So they had a piano player and also a violin player. I think he's playing the violin. Just kind of like waiting for the moment to happen and then getting the shot. Here's, I think why I took it. Laurelton's beautiful. The whole ground is beautiful, but this tree here kind of reminded me of the Japanese, oh my God, I can't think of the name of it now. Whatever they were called, that only spring in May. What are they called? Somebody help me out in chat. Whatever.
The blossom?
Yeah, cherry blossoms.
Cherry blossoms?
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. I don't think it is though. But it matches their colors pretty nicely. Yeah, so
that's my favorite part about that.
There's a little walkway right here, so we positioned them there because the background is very important, just almost as important as the foreground. Thanks, Tom Tay. This is like the generic version of the whole bridal party, and then for this one, I think I told everybody to kind of just cuddle all up together and squat down, and that's the natural position that they got into, and just shot from like a higher angle down at them.
A good way to transition into that shot, if you go up, you just get your regular shot of them lined up, and then you tell the couple to take a couple steps forward. So you take that shot, then you say, all right, bride and groom, take 10 steps forward. Then they take the 10 steps forward, you take a photo of them with the bridal party in the background, and then you ask the bridal party to walk toward them and then just sort of huddle up. So you get, again, it's just going back into doing this whole being able to get a bunch of shots in a matter of seconds, because overall as wedding photographers, I think we have to do our best to create the best work possible in very, very hectic situations. So if you can manage to get 3 or 4 usable shots in a matter of 10 seconds or even 15 seconds, it works really well, because and a lot of that is about transitioning from one shot to another. I'm sure, we've all done it, and I know that we used to do it years ago where we would go into one pose and we'd say, all right, well, hang on for a second, and then we would just transition into another pose, and it would take minutes. And minutes in a wedding is huge. You can do a lot in minutes. So if you really put your mindset to think, all right, well, while I'm going to take a shot in the middle of a transition to another shot, which would be them getting the shot of them lined up, then telling them to walk forward. And you can even go even further and say, all right, while you're walking forward toward me, taking those steps forward, look at each other and smile. And then you can get some shots there. And you tell them to pause, then you tell them to go for a kiss, and then you can get the bridal party in the background blurred out while they're kissing. And then you can tell the bridal party to walk towards them, and then you can get the one where they're huddled up. So again, you can get 4 or 5 shots easily in a matter of 30 seconds, easily. So just something to think about, just something that I typically like to do.
Here's just a can of them, I forgot, I think I might have told them to squeeze her, from behind. And then I wanted the bridal party in the background as well, because their dresses, again, matches perfectly with this color over here. So it's nice to use the bridal party as, a backdrop to add some color to it. Here's the classic motion shot here. There's too many people. I mean, you can't get everybody in the shot, but here's 3 and then 4 bridesmaids here. I came up with an idea. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, to have the bridesmaids hold up bouquets in front of the camera and then wave them up and down. Didn't really work, but you don't really tell people that it looks bad during the day. You kind of just got to chalk it up and get back to the computer and be like, oh yeah, this just didn't work. But then it kind of gives you ideas for something else to do. So
Mariel, what's the shutter speed here? So I think it was 1/10 of a second. Actually, we can go to the shot. It's right there.
1/10.
So usually what I like to do is a good starting point is 1/10 of a second. That's usually a good starting point where you're not, and I think I said this last week, is where you have, this was handheld, by the way. So if you're on a tripod, you're going to have much more flexibility as far as getting these shots. So, but this is handheld because, again, we're working quickly. This isn't a shot that's going to take 10 minutes to get. It'll take maybe a few minutes, maybe 4 or 5 minutes at most. So 1/10 of a second is a good shutter speed where you won't have enough camera shake where it'll still look sharp, but you're still able to get motion into the shot. If you look at I think it may have been a little bit overexposed just because of the conditions that it was in. So if you look at the original, it's pretty good. So 1/10, and again, since you're at 1/10 of a second, then your exposure is going to be pretty overexposed if you're shooting wide open or anywhere near wide open. So this was actually shot at f13. So, and typically I like to go down the ISO. I like to put it at the lowest, at the native ISO that the camera takes, and this one was shot with a D850, and I think the lowest native ISO is ISO 64. It shows ISO 40. I don't remember it going down that low, but yeah, the lowest native ISO is 64. So whatever the lowest ISO you can get, anywhere from f11 to f16, depending on what your conditions look like, and 1/10 of a second is a good starting point for that. So,
and flip it around, readjust. Here's Esteban's shot. This is off-camera lighting. I believe Jose was here with the mag sphere on a stick, just kind of pointed at them to kind of basically expose for the background and then add a little light to kind of brighten them up here. This is just them walking toward the shot.
Or just respond to her.
Oh, there you go. This is just, them holding hands. We usually try to do a walking shot every single shoot that we do. It's just the most simple thing, looking at each other, not at the camera. You can't really tell in this picture, but the way to make the girl look flattering, as you say, is to tell her to walk almost like on a tightrope, or a beam, so you get better leg. It looks better for her legs, I guess you say, versus the guy can walk normally with the spread legs. It just look a little more feminine that way. Here again was with the light sphere. I think camera left here, just pointed out her face right here. No light here, just basically, I think I told them to stand in between the sidewalk right here, because it kind of did that little movement right there. So put them right between there and kind of framed up that way. I didn't have time to go get pictures individually of Leanna. So again, I love the trees. I love the colors. She got ready at her house, and there was a nice tree outside, but there was no real nice background. And again, background is such a huge, important part of pictures, just as much as your subject sometimes. But the only thing that was around the area was other houses and a street. So once we got to Laurelton, it was such a beautiful place here. I was like, can you go stand under this tree so I can get a few pictures of just you by yourself? Such a huge, important part to make sure that you get that in the album of just the bride by herself in her dress, looking at her best.
This is Mark. I know you have a Sony. Do you have trouble importing your RAW files in your computer? I have a MacBook. So you need to make sure that it's the latest version of Lightroom, because I think the profile was just updated recently, right, for the A7 III?
Yeah, and then I also had to download a RAW. If you Google Sony ARW driver or something like that, then you should be able to download. I don't know, for Windows, I need to download that in order to see my RAW files in Explorer. I don't know if it's same for Mac. I don't use a Mac.
If you have, I don't know a lot about this, but if you have Adobe Creative Cloud, then there should be an update for Camera Raw, which allows the computer view the files, and then whenever you update your Lightroom, whatever the latest version, it should work with your Lightroom. So. If you have Adobe Creative Cloud, then you should just need to do an update for it. So.
Yeah, do you know what version of Lightroom that you currently have? Let me know. Because anytime, basically, if the new camera comes out, even with the D850, there was issues with it for like a month.
Yeah, it was like months. I remember it was crazy. Shooting like 5 weddings without. So what I would have to do is I would have to convert the files into DNG files if I wanted to import them into Lightroom. But it took a while for Lightroom to get the picture profiles for them, so it was a pain.
Yeah, try that. Details, these are all lit with the softbox, the 26-inch Westcott rapid box. We've talked about it numerous times on here. So these are, what were they shot on, 58 or 135?
I think 58.
So again, with the background is really important here. Oh, almost fell out of my chair. To get the nice bokeh from the chandeliers and all the lights and stuff like that. So kind of, obviously there's just details, but adding this cool little elements of here of the bokeh and then adding your own light makes it look a million times better if you just use natural light. What else here? First Dance. This is again lit with the softbox here. The Jose method, one light exposed for the ambient. Luckily the sun was just setting. You kind of get the blue coming through the window, which is really nice. But the difference between adding a softbox, lighting them up, versus popping a flash in the sky is you lose all of the color. Like you wouldn't be able to see, and in the ambient it would all just be white. You don't get that really moody, dramatic lighting here. Stephanie says in YouTube, issues with Mark IV.
Yeah, that was another thing. It usually takes, I think Sony, it's mostly dependent on the manufacturer of the camera. So if, I think Adobe is just at the mercy of whoever manufactures the camera to give them the technology to put it into the Creative Cloud. But I know Nikon took a while to come up with something where people were complaining about. I think it was months. I remember having the camera for almost 3 months before I was even able to import the NEF files into it. So
just kind of softbox. So Capo, you don't have a laptop that you do it?
The softbox.
So that's the Westcott 26-inch rapid box is what it's called.
It's very, very convenient. You just take this off. Just pop this. I usually take this thing and just throw it inside the softbox, and then just, I mean, it's tiny. So I actually just bought a cheetah stand soup bowl, which is the same size. It seems it's a little bit bigger, but we'll see how it works, and I'll let you guys know.
It's not the cheapest option, but it's probably the best, easiest, most durable option. We've gone through all different types of modifiers. That's the nicest that we found in terms of quality and build quality, and also light quality as well.
Yes, Stephanie. We use that for essentially, I would say like 90% of the portraits that or anything that we shoot it throughout the reception.
You can actually see it right here. So Jose was holding. They're kind of overlapped right here. So this is the mag sphere.
This was one of the times where I said, you know what, let me experiment with the mag sphere indoors, just to kind of change things up a little bit. But typically I'll use the softbox for indoors, and for outdoors I'll use the mag sphere.
Here is another shot. So I think Jose was standing over here. You can't really see it. And then lighting up kind of like her back here. Esteban was above. This is the big room in Aria, above the staircase. And there's my bald head down here, taking my picture. I think I was taking, no, it couldn't have been. This is my picture here. So I had the softbox camera right, just on a stand, and kind of just got this similar shot right here. This was shot on 85mm 1.8 Sony, I think. Just really nice soft light there, and again, you get the ambient. You're not blowing up the entire room with a pop-up flash, and you can still kind of capture nice dramaticness of that. Here's some reception photos, again exposing for kind of like the ambient, and then just lighting them up. The softbox was here, I believe, pointing this direction. Just more reception photos. We also send all of our clients what's called a shot list. So they fill it out before the wedding, just to kind of remind us of like what pictures that they want. So they're not even in this picture, but I think, you know, these are all their friends. We've actually shot like half these people's weddings that we're going to, which is kind of cool. So this is against shot with softbox. I don't know what this was shot with. I think this looks like the sphere actually, because it's kind of harsh. I don't know.
I think it's your shot. Pretty sure that was this softbox.
Again, this ambient here, you would lose all this without doing off-camera lighting. So another reason why to keep the ambient, and especially if people are paying for uplighting. I don't know what it costs. Maybe like $1,000 for. Does that sound right? I don't know.
I think it's cheaper now, and some of the venues are including it in it, but I know that it used to be a pretty big investment.
Yeah, so if people are paying to have people come in and light the venue for uplighting, you know, it's nice to kind of be able to capture the color that they're paying for, you know, rather than just having an entire white room. More softbox pictures. Laurelton. So this was on her shot list, I believe, of all the girls that went to Laurelton. Here's another wide shot. Again, this is the softbox. You can see Jose is standing right there. Lights, camera, DJs right here doing their thing. This looks like the slide or something like that. And then just two random pictures. People dancing. So this was just a pop-up flash, I think, here, and so you can kind of tell the difference why it's much brighter in the background. You kind of lose some of the dark ambient here. But this is an on-camera flash popped up, I think, with a little reflector pointed back at them. And that's it. That's the wedding.
Just to talk about some of these dances here, if you go up, like the father-daughter dance, that's, again, like Mark said, when it comes to incorporating the background, I think it's important, especially if you're using off-camera flash. I've seen some photographers use a bunch of lights on pretty much every corner of the rooms, and just point them up and just kind of hope for the best, which it does work in a way, but you have to get away from the mentality that flash is there as a tool to light things up, and you have to think of it as a creative tool. Like how can I use flash creatively, as opposed to just because I want to light things up or because I want everything to be well exposed. And I think that's where the big difference comes in when it comes to our work. We're using flash creatively. We're not using it necessarily because we're in a dark room and we need to light things up, and we need to expose everything properly. So again, I really enjoy using the off-camera flash with just the one light where you're able to bring everything in. So shots like these are taken with high-speed sync. They're taken with just one speed light. It doesn't require anything special or anything too powerful. Just a regular speed light, just pointed at them. As long as it's a small enough softbox, it's nice soft light that's hitting them. And even with the dancing shots, I think it creates a really nice look, which like these here. So again, there's pretty good debates on whether people like this look or if they want the other look. But I just feel like it just plays to our style a little bit better, where we have the moodier look where the backgrounds are darker and we're just kind of focusing on the subject. So this is all done by one light. So as Mark waves to everyone. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that like these here are important. Even this here, you still have the ambient light. Still have ambient light there. Even with these, you still do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Anybody have any questions?
Did we go through all the pictures in Lightroom? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
So next week we'll definitely be going live again, same time, 7:30. We will be in Pennsylvania on Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday is 10 of the night. I don't think we can go live there though, because we're gonna be shooting late.
It's a soft box. It's a 26-inch Westcott Rapid box. 26 inches. So it's this guy right here. You just pop this open. This is okay. So this is Jose's co-worker. So
what part of Pennsylvania are you going? No,
Philadelphia.
Philly, yeah.
We're going to be going through Philly.
Does anybody have any good recommendations for Philadelphia? I was there last year for a night. We're definitely going to go to Mac's Bar from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That was a cool spot. I walked on the oldest road in America, I think it is. It's all cobblestone. That's kind of cool. So that's the one's never been before. So I'll show him around the little dock area with like the big boats and the neon lights and stuff like that. Hopefully that's there. We're gonna go to we're doing
cheesesteaks.
So we're gonna do an engagement shoot there.
Steve.
So basically we're gonna hit up all the touristy spots, the Rocky Memorial, Independence Hall. I think we're gonna go shoot with Ben Franklin. Stuff like that. So we'll be there Tuesday night exploring. Maybe we'll go live. I don't know. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Love, Steve.
Yeah, I think that pretty much does it. If you guys don't have any more questions, then we'll see you guys next week, same time. If we decide to go live when we're in Pennsylvania, then
we should walk around with a selfie stick.
Yeah.
That's what we should do.
Thank you, Colette.
If you guys came late, you can watch us on Instagram. It'll be up for like a day. But if not, we also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/egophoto. And we're streaming there now as well if you want to see us before we get off in the next minute. It's a lot better viewing experience in our opinion, because you get picture in a picture. You can actually see the entire screen. We sound better. We look better, if that's even possible, than we already do. And that we'll publish the YouTube video to watch for you guys for whatever, so that'll be up there. We're also going to be publishing some tutorials. We started working on one. If you guys watched, if you go watch our story after this, we tried very hard. The YouTube just not going to work out for us. Probably we can't take it seriously. But we have two videos in mind that we're going to come up with for you guys. So hopefully we can get those going if we can be serious about it.
And if you guys have any suggestions or anything as far as videos that you want, then send us a message or something, and we'll start working on them.
Yeah. So next week, I believe we have 2 engagement shoots that we need to talk about. I think we can handle 2, because we have a lot of work that we have been delivering and that we want to talk about. A lot of exciting stuff. So
cool. All right. Goodbye, guys.
Thanks everybody for joining. Go to YouTube. Smash that like button.
Stop. I'm gonna pour this on you. Don't do it. Don't finish.
I love you all. Thanks everybody for joining us. Okay, you say goodbye or you're just gonna stare?
Goodbye. All right, bye. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for getting married and having us there.
Yeah.
We love you.
Bye. Bye.